So, what we have going on is I brought the.
want
That's
your
all right.
my face, if
That's
okay.
all right. Why you don't stand behind your work? Are you ashamed of what you do?
No, I just
Then
don't want
don't
my
do
face
that. Then don't do that. Do you have Facebook? You're not ashamed. Okay. So we're not going to go there. Here's the problem. You probably remember me bringing this in the other day, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, as I had iterated to the very first person that I talked to on the phone from my house.
Yes.
This has been a week.
Okay.
I told the woman, or the agent,
Okay.
through the chat, that I was having a problem with my camera freezing up while I was streaming. Okay? It would glitch. And I have to go back out of the camera and back into the camera, you know, through the thing, turn the thing off and come back in, leaving the stream going in order to restore that. In some cases, it would actually just freeze up for a minute, the entire system. Okay? And then eventually come back. So this is what they were to address.
Okay.
So then what they did was they had a guy come in remotely.
Yes.
I don't know what they did.
Okay.
That's not my field. So they said that should take care of it. So when I went to run again, now my system, instead of freezing or locking up, reboots. I get a little frowny face thing and a blue screen, and it goes and reboots, and then I have to go back on, and luckily my stream is still going, right? Okay, so they sent a technician to the house. The technician ran all his little dandy stuff on his thing, right? Okay, said it should be fixed. Lo and behold, it was not.
Okay.
Now, what this is due to is a failure to benchmark the problem. Now, when I brought it into you the first time, you'll remember I brought this right here, an Amazon Prime bag, and inside of that was what? Do you remember? There was 2 cameras and a cord, as I was instructed to do, because the woman and the guy in the chat had recognized that there was something about the camera that was causing, because this is the only time that this happens, right? Okay. Now, we deduced it wasn't the particular camera because one of the cameras is brand new. The other one is one that worked fine for over a year.
Okay.
All right. So there's something in the interface. Now, they were also supposed to back up all my data,
Okay.
right? Reinstall the operating system, then restore my data, right? They did not do that. And I found that out when I came here. And when they said, we ran it through all our tests and everything worked great. I said, how did it do with the camera? Do you know what he told me?
What?
He said, we didn't test it with a camera. And I said, why? He said, because we didn't have a camera. I said, you've got a whole shelf load of cameras right there. I brought you 2 cameras. You said you did not need them. So I assumed that you had cameras of your own, and that's why you didn't need it. Now wait, it gets better.
Okay.
He said, well, no one wrote cameras on the paperwork. And I said, what part of while I'm streaming on YouTube, my system reboots? What part of streaming on YouTube would be integral, do you think? Do you think it might be a camera? Did you actually have to have someone write the word camera for you to associate YouTube and streaming a show? What? Do you have to be told every instruction needed for wiping yourself? I don't think so, but in this case, maybe. All right?
Okay.
So, I had to buy a camera,
Okay.
leave the system here,
Okay.
let them go through it. And lo and behold, yes, when they ran the camera, my system did reboot, right?
Okay.
So, they restored my operating system,
Okay.
but they didn't give me back all of my data. I'm missing a bunch of shit. Okay. Now, when I bought this system, it came with Ola, which is a VPN, right? And I have the Power Suite for Power Director, right? I can do that. None of that was on here. I wanted this to be like it was when I bought it.
So
You understand?
when we do a restore on a device,
Yeah.
we can say personal data.
Right, I understand
Yes.
that. Right.
Not
I want
any
this,
programs.
we want this to be how it was when I bought it. Now, what it comes down to is this.
Okay.
After they did that,
Okay.
and I can almost live with the loss of those things because I can get those back.
Yes.
Right? All right. Once they did that, do you think that they actually benchmarked it with the camera? Obviously not, because it still does it. Okay? It still does it. What does that mean? That means that the problem was not fixed.
Okay.
So what is going on that people are not understanding? Why is there this level of incompetency going on to where it was obviously not benchmarked after the supposed repairs had taken place?
So how many repairs have we done on this?
Oh my God, let's see. This would be the third in my second trip. No, because I had to come here to drop it off.
Okay.
I had to come here to find out that they didn't do the test on it and have to do it again. So I went back. That's another 70 miles. That's 140 miles I've
So
traveled.
they restored the computer already?
They
That's
restored,
still-
they reinstalled Windows.
Yes.
They did not restore all. This came, part of buying this from you, from this store, was that it had these other perks on it. There was the Ola operator, the VPN, all this shit. It was there when I turned it on the very first time. Boom, boom, boom. There it was. I didn't have to do shit, right?
So when they checked it in, did they let you know when we do restore that we won't be able to
Okay, here's what it comes down to the bottom line. Okay, you people broke my computer. That's all. You guys broke my computer. Okay, I entrusted a man through your company on a remote
Okay.
who came in and made the problem worse.
Okay.
Then they went through the trouble of sending a man to my house who went through and did all his diagnostics and everything, but did not benchmark the problem. And lo and behold, the problem still existed.
Okay.
Then I bring it in and find out that the actual problem that was to be addressed wasn't even looked at because the rejection of the things I was told to bring in the first place. Now, I was under the understanding that y'all had notes, that
Yeah.
you keep track of this stuff. Does anyone read those notes?
Yes,
Because
we do.
all of this should be in there.
So we
Right?
don't have the notes from the people that worked on your device before. So the at-home people,
Yeah.
and we don't have any of those notes.
Okay, why?
Just not part of our system to use a completely
That's
different
kind of
system.
dumb, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
It is. I mean,
I'm
don't
not-
you think that that is a really, for people who deal with computers and logical systems, don't you think that that's a relatively illogical thing?
Yes.
Okay, I do too. I do too. So here's what I'm down to, and
Okay.
I am backed by what is called the Consumer Protection Act.
Okay.
Okay, you broke my machine. Not you personally, but Geek Squad broke my machine.
Okay.
They took a problem and then broke my machine in answer to fixing it. They're unable to address the problem.
Okay.
They're unable to diagnose the problem, obviously, through the thing. So, this either goes back to the way it was
Okay.
before you touched it, or you replace it. I'm not accepting anything else at this point. I am losing money because
So-
this is my job. Do you understand that? Okay. So now, not only am I losing money, it's costing me money. You understand? Because what did I say? It's 70 miles to bring it here and go home, 70 miles to come here, find out that it wasn't fixed and go back home, right? 70 more miles to come in here and pick it up and take it home to find out that it wasn't fixed, okay? And then now today where I've brought it in and I'm gonna have to go back. 4 times 7, that's 280 miles in a Jeep Wrangler that I have had to travel over this non-ability of communication that seems to be taking place.
Okay. So as far as getting it back to what it was before, with the specific applications and everything.
I didn't download,
Yes.
okay? I did not download Ola. This came with Ola when I bought it.
Yeah,
okay?
but once we do that restore, there's no way for us to get that back on there unless we have like the.
Do you have these? You have these machines. You sell these right here, just like this,
Yes,
right?
we sell
you
the
have
product.
those. You
Yes,
have
yes,
those,
yes.
right? Okay. Real simple. There it is. You have the exact thing that I had before you broke it, don't I? Don't you? You have that in the store. You have it. Well,
Possibly.
there you go. There's the solution. Because obviously, This is costing me more money because I paid a lot of money for this system, okay? And it's cost me a lot of money and time to have to go back and forth from where I live to here, okay? 280 miles right now is what we're up to for this. And I despise this city. I hate the city. I don't like to come here because people smash into each other and it's nuts, okay? So 280 miles I've had to travel. Figure that out in a Jeep Wrangler at 17 miles per gallon, okay? That's costing me money. You did one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my entire life over the whole camera thing, when you could have just as easily done the same thing and bypassed me having to buy it and then return it when I come back. Without it ever leaving the store or being in my possession, you could have just as easily done the exact same thing and bypassed the middleman. But we had to do it that way. Whatever, okay? So this is, are you the head guy?
No, I'm
Who is the head, who's the HNIC? That's who I need to talk to, the head nerd in charge.
Are you like the manager technically right now?
What's going on?
Okay, well, I got to go through this entire thing
Possibly.
again now.
So unless you, I might leave
Summarize
out
it.
some stuff. If you don't mind summarizing
Okay.
it for me, him, just
All right, so had a problem, camera freezing up during the live streams, right? Okay, never had the problem before. I got a hold of Geek Squad using the remote app, right, on the computer. Talk to the person. Now, note, the whole time I was talking to these people, never once did it freeze up or anything because, well, I wasn't using the camera, right? Okay. And we've eliminated that it's the camera because I have both cameras right here, 2 different cameras purchased at 2 different times. One is brand new, the other one's about a year old. So we've eliminated that problem altogether, all right? So they sent a guy in remotely after talking to them and telling them the problem, right?
Right.
So they go into the machine remotely from Pakistan or wherever the hell they're operating from, right? Said it's fixed. I go to run my stream, guess what happens? Reboot, little frowny face. What? And it keeps happening. Keeps happening. So obviously that didn't do it. A technician comes to the house, runs all his little diagnostics and all that crap and everything else, still did not benchmark the problem, right? He didn't benchmark, put it through the test. Okay, hooked the camera up, said, oh, good, it goes, let's go, get it out the door, next thing, right? Worried about Facebook and what you're gonna do after you get out the door instead of putting your head in the job. The head's not in the game, right? Because anybody with logic would have benchmarked it. So they left it to me to benchmark it, and what did I find out? It still kept rebooting. So I bring it to you guys. They set it up for me to come to you guys. They told me specifically, bring your cameras and the power cord. Because they understood that it was something to do with the camera's interface with the machine, right? So y'all called me and said, yep, we ran all our benchmark tests and everything else and there was no problem at all. Here you go. I said, how did it do with the camera? What do you think the guy told me? We didn't test it with a camera. I said, why didn't you test it with a camera? And he goes, nobody mentioned, we don't have a camera. And I said, you have a whole shelf of cameras right there. I offered you cameras when I brought the thing in, and you declined them. He said, well, nobody wrote anything about camera in the paperwork. I looked at the paperwork, and I can show it to you right there. It says, while streaming his show on YouTube. Now, what part of that would not involve a camera? What part of that would not involve a camera? Somebody had to actually tell him that that was the case, especially when all throughout the notes and everything else is the word, while streaming, my camera freezes, then now it reboots. So what has happened is they hooked it up. I had to buy a camera. Let you all keep it. Run the thing. Oh yeah, it did reboot, so we reinstalled, blah, 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 right? Didn't benchmark the problem at all. So when I came back and picked up the computer, I had returned the camera. I said, okay, it never left the store with me. It stayed here, right where it was the whole damn time. The only thing different was I gave you some money and you gave it back to me. Do you realize how dumb that is, right? Whew. So I get it back home after finding out, this is how I found out it wasn't benchmarked. with the camera, right? Because I went and run my show last night. You know what happened? It rebooted on me again, and it kept doing it. So, the problem's not fixed, is it? The problem is worse. So you guys, Geek Squad, broke my computer. And they're unable to fix my computer. So if you're unable to fix the computer that you broke, then you're obligated to replace it due to the Consumer Protection Act. I did not cause this problem. Geek Squad did. This is all documented through everything, all right? It's not back the way it was when I bought it at all, okay? And even if I do lose some of those programs, I can probably get them back or see about doing some other thing. Microsoft is an utter joke to try to do anything with. You get all done putting on all this crap and it comes up and says, oh, service is not available right now. More of this kind of stuff, man. More of this kind of stuff. So I want the problem either fixed and this computer back to the way it was when I got it, or replace it. That's all that I can say that is acceptable. Now, I brought you the machine. If you need to do whatever you need to do, I brought you the cords. I have brought you both cameras, the new one and the old one. I've brought every bit of paperwork that I have regarding this. What do you want to do?
So as far as getting it back exactly how it was before, with the applications you were talking about before,
Then what kind of monetary compensation are you going to give me for the loss of those programs? Because you do realize that if I go to try and download these, I'm going to have to pay for them. You realize that, right?
That's why
They're
we
not
let you know
going to
about
do
the programs when we
yeah,
have to
yeah,
do any type of install
All right.
beforehand.
Well, either way, either way, that's just another strike. Now, I'm going to ask you guys both a serious question. Do you find your life with value? And do you believe that what you do, your job, is value? What you do, your work, the product of your work, is there value to the product of your work? I'm asking you personally, do you believe?
I don't know where we're going with this.
All right, well, what I'm going to say is because if you're standing behind your work and your work is failure, you don't have anything to stand behind. And word of mouth is the best advertisement. Okay? This conversation, this thing, I've recorded it so that you all understand we're on the same page. And to make it easy for anybody in the future that wants to have to look at this and realize what we went through with this, I will be posting this on my YouTube channel. I will give you a link to it so that if you're having problems understanding what the problem is, you can go to my video and rewind it and listen. Okay? Initial problem, streaming, camera locks up temporarily and the system freezes temporarily. Guy comes in remotely, now makes it so it reboots. Technician comes to fix what the other guy did not fix it. I bring it into you. You don't fix it. It's still the same thing that we're having the problem. Now, the problem went from bad, or irritating rather, to worse under a Geek Squad professional. This means that a Geek Squad professional broke my machine. So you guys want to try to fix it and then resolve it after that? Or I'm going to tell you a little something that was kind of cool that happened. It's very interesting, and in this field you will find it very fascinating. Back in 1992, I was working for an engineering company in Auburn Hills, Michigan. We used Gateway computers. You could not buy them in a store. You had to order them custom from Gateway. They ordered me one to run CAD with. Brand new out of the box, started working great, boom, locks up. Got to reboot the system. This is back in before Windows, right? Got to reboot the system. Keeps happening. Send it in, they ran their diagnostics, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong, everything's fine. Send it back, same problem, kept the current. Sent it off to them again and said, look harder, it might be a physical problem. Okay? You know what they found? A hairline crack in the motherboard that when it got warm, It was enough expansion that it broke one connection and locked up the computer. Now, something I noticed as I set this down, and I wonder if maybe you can hear it too. This might be part of the problem. Listen. Did you hear something rattle? Okay, like something loose inside there. Maybe take a good physical look at it. You know what I'm saying? Give it the whole 100%, and then when you go, by golly, I think I've done my best, run it through the test, baby. And then you can say, I stand behind my work, right? So, this is where we're at with this thing. What do y'all think?